Hey, what is up, for our sidekicks and hinge folk out there in the Geek Nation? You're currently tuning into the CultPop podcast live stream, aka Spoiler Alert, episode 755, where we will review the past week's comics as well as talk about some fun pop culture topics for your listening and viewing pleasure. I'm your host, Johnny Destructo of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, located at 4327 Main Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Super Rad Shop, which caters to nerdy and nerd-adjacent individuals of all shapes and sizes, except jerks. No jerks like that. This is the part in the script where Noel writes anything, and I will read it out loud. First hot take, all caps. Hot dogs and tacos are not sandwiches, despite both sharing definitive traits of the sandwich. Second hot take, all caps, exclamation point. Nightmare Before Christmas is more of a Christmas movie than a Halloween one. Fight me. Don't fight me. Fight Noel for writing that.
What if we agree with it? Like, if we agree with that statement, Noel, do you want to be fought?
No, I think that those are two different statements. Nightmare Before Christmas is a Christmas movie more than a Halloween one. Also, no matter how you respond to the previous sentence, fight me.
Hot take number 3, fight Noel.
Fight me. Yeah.
Right.
For what it's worth, I think the live hit at the wrong time, so we didn't completely get your whole intro, but people are here.
I heard it, though.
Yeah.
Whatever. No one's listening.
No. And listen,
Brian Lieb.
Hey, what's up? I wanted to weigh in on that hot dog thing, but yes.
Brian Lieb, what was your favorite part of your least favorite comic book read this week?
My favorite part of my least favorite comic book read this week is one that we decided not to talk about. Something with the word Arkham in the title. I forget what the title was. Arkham
City.
World Attack Cityscape. I don't know. Arkham Cityscape. What was my favorite part of it? The art was, while not great for me in a sequential comic art form, the art itself had some interesting qualities if it was just an individual image. Yeah. All
right. Len, the Bat Tribble, what is your least favorite part of your most favorite comic read this week?
Oh, okay. Let me look at what the hell we read.
This is your favorite one that you're having trouble remembering.
Yeah, your favorite read, least favorite part.
if that's not a clue to what we're in,
it's a race
all uphill.
Yeah.
I'm king.
So my favorite part, right? Or no, my least favorite part
of your favorite read.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. All right. My least favorite part of my favorite read was the cover of the book. Should I say what my favorite read was?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I think honestly and unbelievably, my favorite read from this week was Dark Ages. But the cover did nothing for me.
Okay.
I agree with that sentiment. So far I've disliked like all of the covers of Dark Ages.
Yeah. Noel, I totally agree with you on the hot dog thing, and I think there's a lot of points in favor, but I just want to raise one, right? If you ate a hot dog and you turned it to the side like you would a sandwich, right? Like you would eat a sandwich with the bread on the top and the bottom. That's the wrong way to eat a hot dog, right? Like nobody's eating a hot dog that way. It's instinctually not how you eat a hot dog.
It's the same as
I eat it I eat it like a corn on the cob.
Like a corn on the cob?
That is not how you eat a hot dog.
What's the core? Like, what are you eating towards? Just your fingers? Like there's no.
Yeah.
At least the corn on the cob has a core, a center
part
that
you don't
can't get through. Yeah.
Also, if the bread comes apart.
I was just eat the bread of the hot dog and like throw the hot dog away.
You're supposed to eat the meat tube.
Whole. Yeah.
I thought the meat tube was the core.
Why would you want to eat that?
I just lick all the relish and mustard off of the meat core
Yeah. What are you going to put it on a spoon or something? No, you need a meat core.
Terry Leahy says there's no wrong way to eat a hot dog unless it's cold. That shit's gross. He's correct.
I agree. Whoever wants to eat a hot dog any way you want, go for it.
As long as it's a hot dog.
That shit's gross.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just a dog.
Now, what's the best way to make a hot dog? Is the best way to make a hot dog?
I've got this.
Boiled
on a grill
or grilled?
Grilled.
Yeah. I got this. I actually have this. The answer is both.
You boil and then grill it?
No, I mean, like, they're both the best way to have a hot dog. Boiled if it's from an explicit vendor and it isn't all beef with the skin still on it so it snaps. Those are delicious.
Like, here's your fucking hot dog.
Yeah. They are crafted and created to make hot dogs perfectly.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But if you're doing it at home, grill 100% because there's no way to correctly recreate
that. Yeah, absolutely correct. Yeah, there's something about the juices that infuses itself in the water of a vendor that of like one of them carts that you just can't replicate in a pot on your stove.
I also really like the Roly Boys that you get at like the
like an
7-Eleven.
Yeah. I consider that grilled. That's grilled.
Okay.
Yeah. Like it's just a rolling grill. It doesn't have the charcoal snap to it, but
it's
grilled.
It ain't got the charcoal to it, so I can't fuck with those.
Now
also joining us is Noel. Say hello, dummy.
Hey, dummy.
Anyway, thank you to everyone who's joining us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. If you like what we're doing here, and I can't imagine that you do, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. The joy, the unadulterated cumitude of doing this is you guys in the chat hanging out. So pipe up if you feel so inclined, and we may comment live during the show. With that out of the way.
Mine was a little adulterated.
I feel I should tell you, we've got letters.
What the fuck is coming to? That's what I wanted to know.
I think it's what it sounds like. That's what I think.
Wait, we have letters?
We have letters?
Oh, we've got one and two or three of letters.
All right, here's one.
We have letters?
From
Yes, I'm back.
Why the Last Man? Actually, it says why the Last Man. It took them 10 years to come up with this. It's been a few years since I've read Why, and I purposely avoided rereading it so I wouldn't constantly be comparing the two mediums. But this show is just bad. Is there one likable character on the show? Do we really need a ripped from the headline story for Beth? No spoilers if you haven't seen the episode, but honestly, I don't see the point. Heels on Stars and Ted Lasso on iTunes have been much more satisfying. Hell, even Superman and Lois was great. Okay, so who here, by show of hands, has watched Why the Last Man, at least the first 3 or 4 episodes?
I saw the first one.
Okay, so I'm the only one.
Yeah.
I watched the first 4, and I love it. I think it's great. I think it's a really good adaptation of the Brian K. Vaughan series. I think it's really, really good. I don't know what the rip from the headlines thing is for Beth yet. I haven't seen her since episode 1, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But I think this show is awesome. Me and Sushan, we're really excited about it. We were having trouble streaming because of my Roku or Fire Stick, whatever the hell the thing's called. And I actually went out and bought an Apple TV.
Welcome.
So that now we're watching. Now it goes real fast. It's working really well. Because we having trouble streaming that particular show.
Question. Now that you have an Apple TV, did they give you a free year of Apple TV Plus?
I guess, because now I've got Apple TV Plus.
Use it and watch Ted Lasso.
I will.
The second season is fantastic.
The first season was fantastic.
Also, Foundation.
I'm just saying it continues to be fantastic. Watch it so we can talk about it.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. And what else does he say? Heels on Stars, never heard of. Ted Lasso is great.
Stephen Amell's show, After Arrow. He is a heel, which I believe in the pro wrestling world is a bad guy.
Right. And it's a show that's based about heels. Well, I think it's centered on 2 heels, particularly in the wrestling world.
Yeah. Does he have those sneakers with the
wheelies,
roller skates underneath?
That's actually the
those are heelys, and
that's what the after show is called. So they have
Heelys.
a live after show called
Just
Heelys.
Zoom around
And
chat.
All
about
the interviews
show.
have to go on while people are rolling around the room.
I saw a guy with those once, right? Like in real life at the college I was attending at the time.
Did you push him?
Yeah, but he asked me to. He was like, push me! And then super fast.
Whee!
No, I just can't imagine walking
85.
around. I think he had actually built these himself, or they were like an earlier model, because they had these two big wheels on either side. And I'm like, that looks cool, but also very difficult to like strain your calves and then walk around if you want to, So yeah.
Nope.
We have another email. This one is from Charles.
Charles from Chattanooga.
Where is he? Yeah.
What's up? It's your boy Charles, aka the Green Lantern Tribble, aka at Hal2814. Happy Monday night. This is a rant about Titans on HBO Max. I wasn't a big fan of the first 2 seasons of Titans, what with all the killing and cussing. I'm no prude, but it was a little much. The 3rd season started off good. Dick was acting more like the comic book version, actually smiling as he was beating up bad guys. We got to meet Barbara Gordon and my favorite Robin, Tim Drake. Then they had to mess it up. Dick started acting more like Batman/Bruce, dressing all in black, and the way he would talk to people just barking orders. The last episode made no sense. We find Tim on a train in the afterlife on his way to the other place after he was shot, and Donna Troy, who died months before, is on the train. Why is she still on the train if she died long ago? Wouldn't she already be at the other place? Then we see her body is on a table on Paradise Island. I don't know much about Amazon biology, but how isn't the body decomposing after laying on a table for months? Come on, son! Later, Donna and Tim are picked up in a muscle car by Hank, a.k.a. Hawk, who died after Donna, but somehow has the lay of the land and how things work in the afterworld, and she doesn't. Come on, son! We see Donna and Tim make it. It's a whole bunch of spoilers, I should say. First off, Bruce won't kill himself because the Joker killed Robin, and he in turn killed the Joker, and Donna comes back to life, and that's the first place she goes just to time to save him. Come on, son! By the way, Len, what's up with the Black Tribbles? I missed y'all on Thursday nights. I'm out of here. Spoiler alert!
Well, now I don't have to watch Titans. Thank you.
You didn't have to before either. So
yeah, it's validation of my life. Yeah, further validation of my life choices is always welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I gave up on Titans.
Well, I will say this. He's right. The first 2 seasons were not that great. And I really wasn't. I was ready to give up on it. But then I had an epiphany. Ooh. And the epiphany was that I had to reconcile with myself that this Titans show on HBO Max is not my Titans. It's not supposed to be my Titans. They're supposed to be totally different. They're not supposed to be your Titans. They're supposed to be HBO Max's Titans, which is basically a R-rated CW DC show.
That's exactly it.
And that's exactly what it is. So with that being said, that's not my Dick Grayson. It certainly is not my Batman. And while some of the casting I do appreciate, like Anna Diop as Starfire, I appreciate her. The actress whose name I do not know, who they cast as Donna Troy, I enjoy her, and was delighted to see her come back in this episode. Which the points that he makes are a little puzzling, but it's the afterlife. So who am I to impose my thoughts of how the afterlife is supposed to go upon their depiction of the afterlife? So knowing that, and what they're doing with the whole Red Hood and Scarecrow, that story makes, totally is not the Red Hood story that from the comics, which I appreciate, because otherwise you would know all the beats. This Batman is not my Batman. This is some guy who needed a job after Game of Thrones and said, sure, I'm going to take this HBO money and show up on Titans.
At no point do you believe that this actor has ever put on a Batman costume or fought a criminal.
At none at all. And that's not the actor's fault. The actor is a good actor. He's just totally miscast. But this is not my Batman. So
now, because of the blonde hair, could this be the older version of the Adam West Batman?
No.
It's just so many reasons to not bother. Like I kind of came to that realization that it's really not my Titans in season 1. But that was reason for me to just stop though. Like I wasn't enjoying what it was,
right?
Not my relationship to it. Does that make sense? Like,
no, I hear you.
Nothing to do with I
would totally give up right now, except my best friend Calvin watches it, and so it gives us one thing that, you know, of many things, but one thing we can talk about, and more to my delight, I can have him talk about, and I can just bitch about Adam, and we just have nice bitch senses at over some drinks. So
that's absolutely perfect. That's the exact reason why I continued to read Scott Snyder's Justice League, because I was just having fun relaying it to JD and Brian, and both of them were like, "That sounds great. What's wrong with that?" It's like, it's not though.
You
it's
see,
not in context.
See, but here's the difference. The difference with that, is that you were reading Scott Snyder's Justice League, but we weren't. And correct me if I'm wrong. We weren't reviewing it for the show, so I have to imagine that you were paying for it.
That's true.
Titans, I'm really not paying for Titans because I'm paying for HBO Max, which has a bunch of other stuff that I like. If HBO Max, if Titans was on Peacock, I would never watch Titans.
It gets your budget. It gets it. It gets your money.
Well, it got your money. Justice League got your money. Titans is not
account. But by that account, I pay for HBO Max too. I am paying for you to enjoy Titans, just like you're paying for me to enjoy, I don't know, some other shit that I watch on HBO Max.
Well, I'm just letting you know, I wouldn't have paid for you to enjoy Justice League.
It's true.
Titans. Just like, shut up.
JD's not even listening to us. He's over there messing around with audio and stuff like that. He's all free because he doesn't have Kide now.
Reminders. If you want to also read a letter on the show, be sure to email us at cultpopgo@gmail.com.
Yeah. What Noel said. He's got it. Comics block. It's time for that part of the show where we talk about the comics block. The first one's a Righteous Thirst for Vengeance #1 from Image Comics, written by Rick Remender.
I always said Remender, but I never.
Yeah, you would.
It's Remender.
I did. You're right.
Do you remember?
Do you remember?
By Rick Remender and art by Andre Lima Araujo.
Sure.
When an unassuming man stumbles upon a dark web contract assassin's vicious plot to kill an innocent target, he turns himself into one. Wait, hold on. When an unassuming man stumbles upon a dark web contract assassin's vicious plot to kill an innocent target, he turns himself into one, being a dark web contract assassin.
Yep.
Or an innocent target.
The professional meets Road to Perdition in this story of a family's unlikely guardian being hunted by rich and powerful men who are used to getting away with everything. Just from the cover of this months ago when I first saw the solicitation, I was like, "Oh, I'm going to read that. That looks cool."
What was it about the cover?
I like the layout.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I know that actor. He looked like a familiar actor. Now, is that Wong?
He looks like the guy that plays Wong. Yeah.
It does look like Benedict Wong. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just, it's like, oh, this looks different than some of the Rick Remender stuff that I've read before. Mm-hmm. And it just looked interesting to me. So I was excited to check this out. I'm going to bring it up. Here we go. Remind me in 14 days. Alarm. Share screen. Here we go. Nailing it.
You knocked Noel out.
Did I?
He's not
here.
No,
he did that to himself.
Oh, okay. All right. You say so.
You're not buying it?
I know you the button.
He's doing it to himself.
And Noel was going.
He did that to himself. I did not do that to him.
He made his choices.
All right, righteous for
He said he made his
righteous choice for
choices.
vengeance.
He
What's
made
the matter?
his choice. He said he made his choices. That's funny. B's crazy.
I like the book. What'd you guys think?
I liked it too.
Tell me more, Brian.
I will. And about this book to boot. I thought it was cool. It's certainly not the kind of thing that I would gravitate to on my own, but I had a similar feeling when I saw the cover. I was like, there's a cleanliness and a sort of 70s movie and indie kind of feel to the cover that I liked. And it's very easy to read. It's very like pleasant to read.
There's no words.
It's super easy to read because there's only a few words in the whole thing, and it barely took me any time at all. And that's how I judge what a good comic is. So I really like the art. The art has, it reminds me a little bit of Mobius, or maybe the line work is a little Frank Quitely. Not necessarily the structures of things, like facial structures, but I enjoyed that. And for a comic that has nothing out of this world happening, it was still something that I enjoyed reading. And the guy is this like sympathetic guy. He's the wrong thing happens to him at every turn, and he still kind of is good. He's like he soldiers on and tries to just still be nice and do good things. And then he
kills a pigeon.
He did kill that pigeon. Yeah, but
No,
put it out of its misery.
Yeah, that
he
was
did not
like
kill a pigeon.
Yeah,
he released a pigeon.
From this mortal coil.
Yeah. And there was an interesting philosophical discussion there too, because he happens upon a young guy who is having that same quandary, and he's like, should I, like, the pigeon is injured, he's like, should I kill it? What if it would be better to let it just fade away? And what if I do it wrong and whatever? And so he decides not to do it. And then this guy is about to not take action, and then he does, and he kills the pigeon. And whatever we think about the rightness of that, he thinks it's the right thing to do. And then he stumbles upon this murder scene, which he may or may not have been set up for. And I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued about what would happen next. It was such a light, like a pleasantly light read through this. It just moved through it,
Okay. One thing that bothered me was people just unsolicited being like, you should get an umbrella. Do people do that in real life? Like, do you see someone in the rain without an umbrella and be like, you should get an umbrella?
I'm going to do that from now on. Just
give
so
out
that you'll
really
be happy
helpful advice.
Yeah. Be like, oh, you know what? I should.
And does it bother you that you don't know why he's looking for Mary Sullivan? Like, why he goes to this house?
Not yet.
I figured that's where he was going. Like, that's where he was, like, he knows her or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, it didn't bother me. I mean, it figured like it's one step. Like, this is a book that is, for a lot of it, is all, it's set up, but it also is like B said, it's, a bit of character building as well, getting you an idea of who this character is, why he wears the face that he does throughout the comic. I feel you on the Frank Quitely thing. I think with Frank Quitely, the difference is that Frank Quitely would have told this story in less panels than this guy, and that's neither right nor wrong. I feel like this was Remender trying to do like a Korean action type of movie. That's the vibe that I was getting from it, which is not necessarily a bad thing. There's a little bit of a appropriation of their storytelling techniques that was rubbing me the wrong way a little bit. But overall, I have to say that I was pleasantly engaged by the comic book, and I felt it was pretty cool. Again, I hate to be the sound the alarm and say this all the time, but it's a book that I feel like would read so much better in a trade. But it was, this issue felt like a really great preview issue for the trade, A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance. But it's dope.
I don't disagree with you. I do think that it ended well as an single issue, though.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, it did. Yeah.
I agree with that too. Like this obviously, like, it left you wanting more, but it didn't feel just arbitrarily cut off like some stories that are better suited for trade does. Like it was a full 3-act kind of short play that ends on a cliffhanger. I was going back to what JD said about like just seeing the cover. Just seeing the cover for me, when I was in college, like in my film classes, we were all obsessed with South Korean thrillers.
Yeah,
because it was everything from Park Chan-wook. It was Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Old Boy, Lady Vengeance, The Maiden, like all of these very intricate, well-paced, sparse movies that were disturbing in how almost confident and meticulous they were. And this is an excellent replication of that.
Would you say that this is like his attempt to mimic the Vengeance trilogy?
I think it's his attempt
Vengeance in there.
I think it's his attempt to mimic or at least homage the genre.
Yeah.
Because it is a sub genre. I mean, is it popular? It's very hard for me to tell what's popular outside of my little.
It's popular.
Reality.
It's popular. Like to movie buffs, like, it's very popular. Yes.
To movie buffs, right? But you would homaging this genre to movie buffs, sure, but you're not going to see it at the bin in Walmart.
No,
it's not.
I'm not familiar with it
why?
At all, for one thing.
You never heard about the North Korean? I mean,
Kevin commented, "You never hear about the North Korean thrillers."
No, you just watch the news.
Yeah. So one of the things when I first I was going through previews, I was ordering for my store, and I saw the cover, and I went, "Oh, I'm immediately ordering this." Just the cover alone, I went, "This looks interesting. I'm going to get at least one copy." And then after that thought, I saw Rick Remender, and I went, that's not the name I expected to see attached to this particular cover. And I wonder where the line is drawn. There's a lot of conversations happening today in the last several years about, I think Len had mentioned appropriation, writing characters, POC or other, I guess, gender sexualities that you aren't as a writer. And I'm always curious to see what's going to get a pass and what isn't going to get a pass, and I'm never quite sure what that's based on. Sometimes there would be an outrage if a white guy was writing, I'm assuming Korean character. And sometimes there aren't. And I'm like, oh, I wonder how this is going to go.
Could be praised also.
I was going to say, I have a without knowing where the rest of the story is going to go or what issue 2 through 8 are going to be, thus far, it's placed in Vancouver.
Right.
And nothing about this character or the story itself has nothing to do with the character's culture.
Race. Right. Or its culture. Yeah. Right.
So as of right now, it is
or
just
gender.
Or gender even. Yeah. As of right now, it is just a person that happens to be a person of color in this predicament. Now, if he was telling a very explicitly culturally specific and or a hardship or an experience that is explicitly that of someone that's Korean or of Asian descent or of color, then yeah, I think it's kind of problematic. Whereas as of right now, it just happens to be a man of Asian descent in Vancouver, right? Like it's like there's the weird line, and then it could be crossed at any moment.
Yeah, but even then, like if he goes someplace culturally with the character, but there is a sense that he is trying to be respectful in how he's doing it or in it, then I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I brought it up mostly because it is so far afield from, like you said, JD, his norm. So I was like, okay, so where's he going? Where's he going here? But I'm interested enough to see where he goes with it. I don't have a problem. Like, I bump up against sometimes when the idea is that if it's a black character, there's got to be a black writer, a black director, yada yada yada. I think if you can write a story, you can write a story. I think as long as you're respectful in how you're presenting the whatever characters you're drawing, then I think that is where the difference lies, because their history is littered with stories where there was no respect given to the characters if they were people outside of the writer's culture. So I'm fine, and I trust Remender. I mentioned it because it's so far afield, but I trust him because I of what I like of his work, that he's going to do something that this is going to be in good hands. So maybe I'm off base, but isn't there also a facet of cultural appropriation in entertainment? There's a facet of it too that is you've appropriated someone else's story and or work that should have gone to someone else based off your privilege. So him being as well established as he is in just this medium, is that worse or better? So is it more forgiving because he's already established he's not taking work or stories from someone else?
Yeah. Well, I don't think he is. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's almost because he's so well established, it's a little more of a pass because he's not taking someone's story.
Well, right. It's not taking somebody else's shot.
Yeah. I think, and that would especially apply if it was like the publisher said, we want to write a story with an Asian protagonist. Let's find somebody to do so. And Rick Remender was the guy that was chosen. Whereas this is just a story that Rick Remender, presumably, or he and the artist came up with and are telling that story, which is another point too. We don't know who chose to depict these people in different ways. Now, I would also assume, like you guys did, that this imagery was in Remender's head as the writer, as he was creating the story. But similar to like a casting list that says ethnicity unimportant, who maybe that person would be chosen, which is an admirable thing to have in a cast story. Who knows? The artist could have been like, oh, you know what I think would be good is. I was
just about to say, who knows? The artist could have just said, this I want to do, especially considering, how the resemblance to Benedict Wong the character has. So who knows? It could have been the artist's choice.
Yeah. Regardless, this was like it was a delightful read. It was breezy, but it was like the panel layout and the art is so well paced and articulate that it didn't need dialogue, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. I can't wait to watch it in 2 years when it shows up.
Right?
Yeah, Netflix original.
He does not. Rick Remender has an absolutely terrible track record when it comes to adaptations of his work. God awful.
What work has been
so far that has actually made it to screen is The Last Days of American Crime, which was one of the worst things I saw last year.
Wow. I forgot that even existed. Deadly Class.
So awful. Deadly Class, very well received TV show that went nowhere past season 1 because no one watched it, even though like critics were all about it. He has been trying to get Fear Agent off the ground for over a decade. It's as close as it's ever going to be.
I'm surprised Fear Agent hasn't made it.
The last bit of news was that the know,
it would be expensive though.
Seth Rogen, his production company, because they just did Invincible. That's his production company.
Oh, right.
So,
right.
Oh, that's right.
That's like the next bit of it. But and then he's doing
and Preacher wasn't bad.
It was yeah. Apparently, it got better. 2 and 3.
It got better.
2 and 3 were good. Yeah. And then I think he's writing the Tokyo Ghost script for.
Oh, nice. You know, it might be funny.
Cary Fukunawa.
If he actually knows Benedict Wong.
Right.
You, dude. Like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put you in this. Maybe we can get it made into a movie or a show or something.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a fun book.
Let's move on to. I'll tell you what. Amazing Spideyman number 75, Marvel Comics. Zeb Wells is the writer. Patrick Gleason is the artist. Amazing Spider-Man is back to thrice monthly because this story is pure jet fuel. Pwah, pwah, pwah. Ben Reilly has returned to New York City and has fully taken back the mantle of the Spider-Man. But what does it mean for Peter Parker? The greatest team of web writers has come together with the most epic arachnid artists ever assembled to bring you a spider story that will shake up Spider-Man's 59th years in ways you cannot predict, brah. Fuck you. Fuck. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. I was so annoying about that because this is the most annoying piece of text I've read all week. This thing that the thing that the Diamond solicitation or the Marvel solicitation, I should say, get the fuck out of here. Anyway, we are hot on the heels of a really, in my opinion, terrible wrap up of The Amazing Spider-Man by Nick Spencer. I think it started off really strong. And boy, did they shit my bed at the end. They shit the bed, and that bed was mine, and I've been laying it ever since. It's very uncomfortable.
That is your fault, really.
I should change the sheets, to be honest. That was a week ago.
Yeah.
So I was very excited for this issue, number 75.
Yeah.
Because I despite originally kind of growing weary, as everyone did, of the Clone Saga in the 90s and how they sort of just fucking just wouldn't stop the Clone Saga. Since then, I have grown to appreciate Kane and Ben Reilly.
Yeah.
The two clones of Peter Parker. Just what they've done with those characters since the Clone Saga in the past 10, 15 years. They've sort of wormed their way into my heart. And so I was really excited. I was like, "Oh, Ben Reilly's coming back. Oh, I'm on board with this, especially since this Nick Spencer thing is
done.
Not for me." So yeah. I thought this was fun.
If they ever collect that Nick Spencer run in like 2 large editions, you're gonna get it. Though.
Yeah, of course.
Because I'm a Spidey guy.
Oh, I mean, because he's a Spidey guy.
I mean, tomato.
I'm contractually obligated to buy all the Spider-Man stuff.
Right.
There's not a month has not gone by since I was probably 12.
Oh yeah, I guessed it.
That I haven't bought like a Spider-Man comic book.
But you don't have all the collected editions of everything that comes out, do you?
Of course, no. I'm a poor person. Anywhoomst, this was fun. I think the back and forth between Peter and Ben is a little strange. I think Ben's situation is a little strange considering where we last saw him, but I'm fine with it because I'm just curious to see where this is going. I think I had a much better experience with this issue than I did last week's issue. That being said, F you, Marvel, for doing 3 Amazing Spider-Mans a month.
It's too much.
Too much.
And it's not the only Spider-Man title either. You know, there's other Spider-Man titles that come out.
Stop it with the 3 monthly and the weekly shit, man.
At least with last time they did that with Brand New Day, they canceled all the other Spider titles. There was no more web. There was no more like spectacular. Like they
Peter
took
Parker.
they got rid of all of them, and it was just Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah,
this time
you got to knock it off.
All bets are off.
Even as the Spidey guy, it's too much Spidey. So you guys, I think maybe Noel tuned in and out of the Nick Spencer run. I don't think you other guys even bothered with most of it.
Just for the show.
How do you feel about this issue with what they did to Peter and who's taken over the webs?
So I did not have that feeling, as many people did, about the Clone Saga. I was into it, right? I was like, Scarlet Spider's cool. I like his blue sweatshirt costume. I like the other thing. Kane is a mysterious and cool figure, right? I was pretty young at the time. I'm a couple years younger than you, JD, and so that might have had something to do with it. And I don't know that I read every part, you know. And I forget how I felt about him taking over as Spider-Man. I maybe wasn't as into that, but whatever. And I've always had a soft spot for the Scarlet Spider and Kane and related people. So I was into it, and especially now in this time, I know that Ben Reilly is not going to be Spider-Man forever. This is not a permanent change. So yeah, let's see what's what. The new costume is cool. Speaking of costumes, Peter at one point is distressed, so he wants to go clear his head, and he climbs up to the perfect spot to go web swinging, and then puts his costume on.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? I'm just gonna go climb around in my underwear, I think, and carry this bag. What does he even do with the bag? I don't know.
Well, he thwips the bag onto the wall. Yeah, he webs it.
I mean, that's
canon.
Well, yeah.
Well,
I mean, if he's wearing his clothes, though, he twists it.
To be fair, Brian, his roommate Randy is rattling it looks like he's about to come into his bedroom. And so I think before, and he's like, I should talk to Randy. He's just trying to reach out. He's trying to be a good friend. I will talk to him soon. I'm sure he needs me. I will do that eventually. And then he escapes out the window in order to put on his costume, because if he did it there, he might get caught.
I thought that was his front door, but so that does make sense.
No, they're roommates.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
So one of the things that bothered me about this issue, only one of the things, there's another thing that kind of bothered me, but one of the things that bothered me the most was that there is absolutely no dialogue, panel, image, mention anything about their third roommate being killed 2 issues ago.
Right.
Boomerang got killed.
Hmm.
He was the third roommate, and they mention it none whatsoever. It's just all about Harry clone dying.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I don't even like Boomerang that much, but for some reason that ticks me off. Like, Boomerang Fred was literally a mainstay of the last 75 issues. Like, if anything, he was a part of the A plot. Yeah. And then it's just like, oh, he's dead. We're good.
I was, as somebody who hasn't read any of the other things, I saw this as like this is a brand new thing. This is a new jumping on point. And I'm even a little annoyed that he has a roommate and they didn't say anything, but I get the sense that Peter is not, especially because of the way the story ends and the solicits and all that stuff. I think it will be mostly Ben Reilly's story.
He's not long for this world.
Right.
The other thing,
he's not dying this time, which I think is cool, right? He's just like incapacitated for a while
with radiation.
Give him radiation poisoning for a while.
He'll be fine. That's how he got his powers.
Be fine. Maybe he'll be fine. Well, that's just it. I was going to say maybe that he'll be fine next issue, and this radiation poison got rid of the other radiation or some bullshit.
Oh, that would suck.
So I actually, for the most part, liked this, but I didn't. When did Ben become so fucking alpha? Like, he's a real dick. Yeah, he's a bit of a shithead to Peter. Like, have they always had a contentious relationship?
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah,
a little bit. Like, yeah,
I didn't.
They have the same memories. It's one of the things I love about the Clone Saga is the beginning of it, and the idea that I could wake up tomorrow, have all of the memories of Jadal's up until tonight, wake up tomorrow, live my life, and then tomorrow night be told, oh, you're a clone. All of your memories belong to a different Jadal's. You're barely a person. You're just a replica, but with all the same memories. And that's kind of what I like about the clone and Ben, is that he has everything up until the point where he's cloned. he's Peter Parker. He wakes up. He thinks he's Peter Parker. And the only reason he knows he's not Peter Parker is because someone else told him he's not.
And he doesn't get to live that life anymore.
And he does. He swings home thinking that he just fought his own clone and put him in the stack. And he swings home to Mary Jane and sees that there's another Peter Parker kissing his girl. Yeah. So they've always had this sort of mildly contentious, but they're both trying to be good people. They're both trying to be the Peter Parker that Ben Parker wanted them to be. So, and I think at this point in Ben's evolution, having gone through all of the guilt and all of the things and all of the loss and mourning all of that, he gave up being Peter Parker. He created a whole new identity, went and found an entirely new group of people to surround himself with. And I think now he's at the point where he's kind of like, you know what? I'm done. Like I've mourned enough. I've sacrificed enough. When's it my time? And I think that's just him not being an alpha, but I think finally stepping up and being like, you know what? I'm not just a clone. I am a person with his own thoughts and feelings and everything. And I deserve to be a person, and I'm going to go do that.
Yeah, I get all that, but it's at the pretense of supplanting this person who you were.
Yeah.
In Peter Parker, and it's just done through lawyers and shittiness. It's just it struck me as alpha and just shitty.
Keep in mind, one of the last times we saw him, he was the villain in Clone Conspiracy. The Jackal had murdered Ben Reilly and brought him back with the memory of each murder hundreds of times and drove him insane. And so much so that Ben Reilly became the Jackal and was the bad guy for the Clone Conspiracy. And now he's out from being the bad guy and trying to be a good guy.
So are we starting this like stream of stories with the intention of him being an anti-hero, and then it'll just be redeemed or filled out?
It could be the case.
Could be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think we've got enough so far to pin that.
What did you guys think about so this is a very different take on Spider-Man from the normal take. He has a lot of resources, right? Is the major thing. Like his costume is high tech. He's got a team of people. It definitely changes how Spider-Man is. It's not what I thought was going to happen, but on the other hand, it's not even necessarily what I would want most to happen. They got to do something different than just he's got blonde hair.
It's a little Superior samey, is it not?
A little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit of
it
that.
is.
Yeah,
which is great. Superior was fantastic. So I guess I'm just apprehensively excited. I still feel stung from before, and we'll see. And this is coming out so fucking rapidly. Word of mouth will be really fast.
Len is entranced by this issue to the extent that he has entered sort of a meditative state
Not
about
sleep.
it. Yeah.
He is fully aware of everything.
It's taking it all in. I'm taking it all in.
I loved the art.
The art is gorgeous.
Yeah,
I mean, Patrick Gleason is one of the better artists in comic books right now.
The arachniest artist around, I believe the solicit said.
Yes, the solicit tells us. I mean,
this panel that I had up for the longest time of Ben and Peter in the park. Look at that panel.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer also that they should be drawn exactly the same.
Yes.
But with two different hair colors. And I think he does a pretty good job.
No, he does. They're drawn, and you can tell it right there. And that panel, as gorgeous as that panel is, and Patrick Gleason's art is stupendous. But that panel is also all about the coloring as well. So
yes, it's all about the shading of the leaves. Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
Right. I mean, look, I don't give a fuck about Spider-Man. This Ben Reilly coming back and forth, and JD, when you just dipped into his whole history as maybe the Jackal and all this stuff, it's like, oh God, like I'm done with him. But he was going to come back, so they brought him back, so it's all good. It's whatever. I didn't feel like he was alpha a little bit. I actually kind of I know I wasn't asleep. I was just listening to them drone on. I was.
You mean our scintillating conversation on the podcast about comic books that you're currently on?
Well, it was a conversation. Scintillating is your mileage may vary.
2 out of 3 about comics. A conversation.
But what I didn't read him as alpha. What I read him as a little bit of the road not chosen, because Peter Parker, for maybe if Peter Parker would maybe would grow a pair, he could maybe get his ish together a little bit and be a little bit more Benish. So that didn't bother me so much. I mean, actually, I went away from this comic book with Peter just coming off as such a mope. It was like why is Mary Jane still with you? Like that's what I'm questioning her life choices. That's what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like. I'm sorry.
He just found out that his best friend who was brought back to life is dead again. His roommate has been murdered, saving his life.
Okay, but like Noah pointed out, he don't seem to give a damn about his roommate
also,
that's been married.
Where the fuck is Gog?
Yeah. Oh, where is Gog? He's in the other room.
Right, and also, look, there's nothing like the power of a good woman, but behind you. But Peter Parker's life has been so up and down. Like, I mean, Mary Jane would be like, you know what, dog? Holla at me when you get your ish together for 5 straight years.
She knows that's not happening. She knows that's not going to happen.
Dude was rich and now is back living with two roommates. Like, get the hell out of here. Like, get the fuck out of here.
That was one of my favorite lines in the whole book, though. He's just like, I was a terrible businessman.
Yeah.
He needs to be, right? Like, why is he not wealthy? This is the Marvel universe. He's a super scientist, basically.
I do appreciate. So Kevin had mentioned y'all are selling the book for me, but 3 times a month is it worth it?
No.
I will mention, according to the back matter of this, this whole 3 times a month, the Beyond era, is only going to last for 6 months. So that's
18
still issues. I'm just saying it's only 3 times a month for 6 months, so it's just a rapid,
and then it'll go to
story.
4 times a month,
and then it'll be daily,
mailed to your house, whether
in
you
your
want
brain.
it or not.
Yeah.
Here's why it's not worth it. It's not worth it because, one, they didn't. I don't care what they gonna try and sell you a bill of goods when they say it. They didn't start this off that long ago, as far as giving the creative team enough lead time so that they can be consistent on this, which means that Patrick Gleason, as much as we love him on this art,
he's only doing 2 issues.
Exactly. He's not drawing the whole thing. So this is going to be a book that's going to be looking up and down, up and down, up and down art wise. Right. So that is fucking annoying. Also, like, it's eventually, because this is 3 times a week, and they're going to want to kind of like space things out, and they're going to want certain things to happen at certain times. It's going to be a whole lot of just spinning wheels, a whole lot in these comic books. It's going to be so effing annoying. I look, I'm a Batman guy, but I don't own everything Batman. I don't own it. Why? Because there's too many spinning wheels. There's too many times where we just get back on the same hamster wheel and just keep rolling around. And Superior Spider-Man was great. Since then, it's been like the 75 issues of Nick Spencer drudgery, and now it's a return to member berries of the Clone War. I'll see y'all next Christmas. Fuck you.
Well, we can talk about other stuff.
the little button was perfect. Fuck you. I will say, so they did this. They're doing this. It's not supposed to be Patrick Gleason the whole time. It's supposed to. They're doing it like they did 52, where it's 4 writers and like 4 main artists, and then
it's 4 writers too.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's Zeb Wells.
It's
Cody
like
Ziegler,
Brand New Day, which was very successful.
Same thing. So like Patrick Gleason is only doing like 2 sequential issue or 2 issues in a row, and then Sarah Pichelli picks up for him, who's also fantastic for like an issue or 2. And so like they have a Murderer's Row lined up That doesn't mean it's going to be consistent. That doesn't mean it's going to feel like a piece, but it's in regards to them putting the manpower towards it. They're going to try. It won't be like the promise of Ryan Otley monthly, but then it's a bi-monthly book and he only draws every 5th issue. Like it won't be that bad.
Speaking of the art, you can see the web shooters here, which is not something that artists for Spider-Man usually do. You know, but you can see like the exit point for the webs, which is pretty cool.
There was 4,000 covers for this book, and this one was my favorite.
It's cool. Yeah.
Art Adams is going to be doing a lot of the covers.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. If you found out you were a clone of yourself, I think it could be right. Like everybody wins, right? One guy gets to not be the clone, and the other guy gets to like have a whole fresh start on everything, right? They can just do whatever they like.
Yeah. I mean, if I was the other, maybe I'd be upset that I didn't have my wife anymore.
Yeah,
I guess.
If I woke up tomorrow
or your
and
child,
there was another JD hugging my baby and kissing my wife.
Oh, you wouldn't be into that. Okay,
I wouldn't feel so much freedom, so much as
all right. Well, you gotta look on
so
the bright
much
side,
is taken away.
I mean, or maybe you could enter into a 3-way relationship with the wife and the clone.
Oh, I bet she'd like that, actually.
I think I would get along pretty well with my clone, and I hope that you guys would too.
No, probably
not. If there's one thing I know my wife would want more of, it's me.
You.
The other,
Boy, she's like, oh man, I sure wish I could have married 2 of you.
Yeah, it's like I sure wish I could have had that conversation twice. I sure wish there were 2 of you that don't pick up your socks.
But the same amount of socks total, because he's not going to buy in a whole bunch of new socks or anything.
Hey,
well,
honey,
I mean, they're being used twice as fast.
Well, that's true. Now that's true.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, those are not bad points. But don't worry, you're still a real person. You know what I mean? You're just not like the other people.
Wrong per se.
Right. I mean, that's for your lives. Yes. But you're still a real person. Don't worry about that. You're just not the kind of person that everyone else before you ever was. But it bothers me when people are like, oh, he's a clone. He's not a real person. Hey, he's a real person. Yeah.
No, he's not. Let's go.
DC Horror presents Soul Plumber #1 from DC Comics. Marcus Parks and Henry Zabrowski and Ben Kissel on writing duties, with John McCrae as the artist. From the creators of The Last Podcast on the Left, exorcism just got a whole lot easier. After attending a seminar hosted in a hotel conference room by a mysterious group called the Soul Plumbers, Edgar Wiggins, disgraced former seminary school student, discovers what he thinks is the secret to delivering souls from the thrall of Satan. But after stealing the blueprints and building the machine himself out of whatever he can afford from his salary as a gas station attendant, Edgar misses the demon and instead pulls out an interdimensional alien with dire consequences for all of mankind.
Oh, interesting. That was one of my only issues with this book. Was what happens at the end. It's another case of where, or what I didn't see at the end, I should say. Another case of where the solicit gives you more information. But what do you guys think about it?
I didn't read it.
Oh, yes.
Neither did I.
I didn't know it was John McCrae art until I read the solicitation, to be honest with you.
Oh, JD, don't feel bad.
Oh. Well, there you go.
Anyway,
so
what do you think?
This was a big deal for 2 reasons. This is the first of DC's new horror imprint that isn't attached to like Joe Hill and stuff. It's DC Horror Presents. And the other reason why this was being sought after is because it's a very popular podcast, The Last House on the Left. I'm not very familiar with it. But
so
I guess it's a true crime podcast. No.
Okay.
The writers of this run a very popular podcast.
I gotcha.
And people have been calling the shop asking for it, and it was very popular. So it's like, we should read this. It's fine. It's very overwrought. It's very plot heavy. The art is aggressive caricature, which works for most of the book.
Little
but it's also
scumbag-esque.
it's well done, but it's not pleasant at all to look at by design, which makes it hard to be like, oh, this is great. I mean, it's
sometimes
shitty
when
people looking like shit.
Yeah, they execute that very well, and I'm like, well, you did a great job. I didn't enjoy this.
Yeah,
sorry, or whatever.
Like,
yeah.
You captured the reality so well that I don't want to be a part of this.
Right.
The first chunk of the book, I felt like a slog to read about this former seminary student. His pious righteousness was just very annoying to read. But then when it got dark, introducing like the actual like seminar, I started to kind of dig it. Like when he thought it was the right thing to do to kidnap the homeless person. I'm like, this is going to get real gross. I think I'm in now. Like it took a little while. But I don't know if I would recommend it to many people. Like it's a very specific kind of like gutter trash style of horror, like an 80s exploitation film, which is very specific to,
I haven't seen too many, if any of those. So I'm not.
JD, jump in. But... Like street trash. Like, is anyone even listening? I see them there.
They're there.
Hey, JD.
They just didn't read the book. There he is.
Jump in, like
what would you want me to...
I know, but I said references to like trashy 80s horror movies, like Street Trash or The Stuff, or
I've never even heard of these movies.
It's that style of aesthetic. It's disgusting and stupid.
I don't know if I think I have a limited interest in that in movies, so I probably less in comic books. This does not look like something that interests me at all. It looks very much like some of the Garth Ennis stuff that stopped speaking to me because it seemed like he was trying to out edgelord himself every month in The Boys. And John McCrae is a longtime collaborator with Garth Ennis.
Yeah.
So, this doesn't look like something I care about particularly.
You're not wrong. It's a little overwritten. It's very edgelordy. There does come a point in the third act where it gets a little interesting, like interesting enough to give the second issue a shot. But if it ends up being more of the same, then it's like, okay, not my bag.
I know that it is. People are interested in it because of the writing team, because of the last podcast on the left, and I'm sorry, I was distracted by reporting someone for hate speech.
Oh yes.
Mars Craig says, I didn't like the art. The guy with no nose was a bit disturbing, but it was interesting. So,
I'll tell you,
Noel, this seems like something you would pick up the second issue of.
No, I not really pick up the second issue so much as it ends in an interesting enough way to give the second issue a chance if you're on the fence.
Sure. When I was talking to Brian about it earlier, he had said it was a lot more interesting than he had originally given it credit for.
Yeah. I had all of those same feelings, Noel. I was like, this is like too in my face. It's like I am not in it. It does make me uncomfortable. They succeeded. It's just like uncomfortable to read through, or the art specifically. I was surprised that the guy's philosophy, which in the beginning, as you say, is very, very religious in a particular religious way that I very much disagree with, and I was like, is like so over the top, but I don't feel like reading his thing, even if the author doesn't agree with this. But then this guy comes in who is a follower of a different faith,
the online faith. It's essentially like he describes it. They don't give you any runway for this. Like he just starts describing the fuck mother and his religion, and it sounds more and more like an OnlyFans page that just is said to be a religion. Also,
no. See, I took it. I mean, that's an interesting read, but I took it as
just like the fuck mother told me to do this, and she I have to do this many things here, and I gave her donations for the fuck. Like it just
that is kind of how online churches work too.
Yeah.
But no, so that was one of the things that interested me about it was this guy believes in the freedom of the truth of profanity and explicit nature and that kind of thing. And the religious guy who washed out of seminary is like, look, I don't agree with the way that you do things, but who am I to question another person's faith and, live as you will? And he takes him on at a very honest level of this guy is brash and uncouth. And yet he perceives this other guy as having some sort of following some sort of truth, and he respects that truth. I thought that was a very interesting twist for this character, right? I liked the art style of the guy. So there's like a televangelist kind of faith healer sort of guy. That guy. And I like the way that they render his suit, which is full of crosses, which are also kind of look like holes into the background, this light kind of thing. And I thought that was a very interesting artistic choice, like the hollowness of this guy's performance. He has this plans to this machine, which will pull out, as we see now, these demons, but he is faking it. But then the guy, they're like washed up. The art reminds me of like a darker adult Mad Magazine is what this art reminds me of. And so this snappy answers to stupid questions preacher steals the plans for this machine, grabs it, builds it himself out of parts that are not specified for the machine. But I guess it works because of his soul, and he takes this other guy and he reaches in and he pulls something out of this other person. And that, as I mentioned earlier, is like my one major issue in a book that I'm never going to read the second issue of probably anyway, is you get a little bit of what happens when he reaches his hand through this device into this person and he believes that he is pulling out this person's malady. You see, the thing that he pulls out looks almost cute because of the eyes. And whereas I'm sure that they want me to be like, ooh, I wonder what happens next issue, I don't wonder anywhere near enough to pick up the next issue. But well, I would like to see what I think that next moment sets a lot of tone for the whole story. And I think that next moment is something I would like to have been in the first issue.
I kind of think you're bearing the lead. The page before this is what's more interesting when they turn he gets it to work and he sees essentially different dimensions through it before finding something that looks nefarious enough to pull.
Well, that's the thing, is that this is a very interesting part of, comparatively interesting part of this story. And the thing that happens right after that will really set the tone for this 6-issue miniseries.
Yeah.
And so, we see these kind of abstract things, or a popcorn with a face. And I just think pacing-wise, I would have liked to see what that next thing is, so I get a sense of what 2 through 6 are going to be. Yeah.
Well, I looked at the title of the book and then looked at the cover, and I said, well, this is not what I expected, because I was totally expecting, Soul Plumber. I figured, oh, Dolomite made a porno, but no, that's not what it was. So I didn't read it.
But you would have read the other one, right? Like if it was a Dolomite porno comic?
I would have been all over it.
Sweet.
Absolutely. Anyway.
All right. Well, maybe next week.
Dark Ages number 2 from Marvel Comics, written by Tom Taylor with art by Iban Coelho. It has been years since the age of technology ended in a single moment, like a switch been flicked to off for an entire planet. Now Earth's heroes attempt to bring humanity together in the darkness. X-Men and Avengers, vigilantes and villains all work together to create something better. But something darker than the night is descending on the world. Our post-apocalyptic world is about to face Apocalypse.
What the?
This was fun. I was surprised at the beginning of it. I was actually sitting here reading it with Brian in the shop, and oh, look at that! Everything's going great. Everything's going swimmingly for the heroes. We had our apocalypse, like the post-apocalypse. Everyone, it's the universe where a bunch of heroes have a bunch of super powers that don't involve electricity or mechanics, I guess, right? For the EMP had been shut off. Because now it's not. Wait, EMPs don't shut off forever, right?
Well,
So
this one is like continually.
It's constantly pulsing,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It's still. Oh, they never closed it. It's still not closed.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But either way, the fact that our heroes all banded together and our villains banded together and they were able to make something better out of it, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Knowing full well that things are going to hit the fan yet again. And wherein I didn't like the cliffhanger for the last issue, I like the cliffhanger for this issue much, much better. There was some nice surprises in here. One surprise, we'll go with one surprise here on the very first page. And I said, that's surprising that basically you've got Taskmaster and Hawkeye are squaring off, right? There's Hawkeye and there's the Taskmaster, and they're both very good shots. And they're gonna square off in a minute, and then we're gonna see the aftermath. The aftermath being that they both killed each other in the back while facing each other, which I thought was neat. Wasn't quite sure how that worked, but then there's a lot of really nice moments.
I think they did like one of those duels where you walk facing away from each other and then just behind the back and stab each other and kill each other in each other's backs because they know that both of them are such good shots
and fall towards each other. Yes.
They didn't expect that the other one would get them in their own back.
Yeah. That aside, I thought it was very, very fun. It's not my favorite Tom Taylor. Not what I come to expect from Tom Taylor. Usually I'm like, man, I can't wait for the next issue. Oh, I'm so excited. And this is like, oh, this is fun. I'm enjoying it. Another artist interesting thing that happened was we've got this Spider-Girl, Spider-Man's daughter, who has web shooters on the front. But then the web is coming out of her knuckles for some reason. But yeah, anyway, other than those strange little artistic decisions,
there is a very large thing on the top, right? Mm-hmm. Like maybe the thing that we're looking at the bottom is not the web shooter, but the web cartridge.
Why in the world would you design a web shooter to come out the top of your wrist?
Answer me this.
Have to
is that
motion in order to grab it, as opposed to
why would I do that?
Why would you do it specifically, Brian?
There would have to be a series of events so contrived that it would blow your mind.
What did you guys think of this series, Noel?
Oh, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I liked the opening act. I felt a certain way about all of the like Omega level psychics putting thoughts into people's heads, but then I was like, no, fuck it. They should have a long time ago.
Okay.
No, I mean, forcing anyone to do anything, right? They're just
well, no, I mean, at the beginning, it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. They strongly imply that that's like Professor X and others being.
Yeah, they're kind of pushing them a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, like pushing them towards.
Get that.
I did.
Me too.
Yeah. But I believe you. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think of that, but yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I like the way that they had everybody repeat kind of the same mantra over and over again. Like it was in a really effective scene, but then I was just like, it's still creepy. But then it fits with this kind of new world, right? Like we don't have time for this shit. Let's get to the next part. So I almost appreciated that. He did something like that with Deceased also, where there's a time jump so he can get to the story he wants to tell instead of... Because I think that was the problem with the first issue. It was a butt ton of setup because he had to kind of establish this new world with a lot of big machinations. And I think there was still a little bit of ground to cover for this one. So the story itself doesn't in earnest start until the second half of this second issue, whatever the actual conflict is. But I still enjoyed it. I always enjoy these kind of long form what ifs and alternate craziness.
Yeah, me too.
And Tom Taylor is really good at it. So, maybe I would have less patience with a different team, but both of these creators, because I like Ivan Coelho, regardless of him depicting people getting stabbed in the back or not.
Listen, that was weird, right? I'm not crazy.
I didn't notice it whatsoever until you mentioned.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't. I mean, an artist notices it, but to be fair, I didn't notice it.
I didn't either.
Yeah. But I definitly get what you're. I see your point, 100%. And I also
they didn't.
Also while I didn't focus on the whole web shooter thing, there was something just about that image of May that, while looking exciting, just looked a little off to me. So there was just something about it was like, it looks a little weirdy. I don't know why. It looks like it was almost drawn by a different artist, that one image. But that being said, I still like the book. I like the look of the book for the most part. This is Tom Taylor. I think as good as Tom Taylor has been on all the things that he's done, there are times when Tom Taylor just likes to just sit and write a book and just to have dumb fun. And like that's what this is. This is just him having dumb fun. I've seen this story. We've all seen this story 1,000 times. Some played out in longer stretches, like I'm thinking back when Jeff Johns did it with Superman, and when Gary Frank was drawing it, and they met the Legion of Superheroes, and he realized like, oh my God, like, this is not the Legion that I remember, and you find out that something had happened, and now Sunboy was like a battery and stuff. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That was a really good arc.
Well, it's kind of
that was an Oscar,
but it was similar, like to me, like because like all of a sudden Sunboy was like blocking. It was like creating like a red sun. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, and here you find out that Magneto is like the magnet. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Man, when Superman gets his powers back in that arc,
it's dope. Yeah. But then also this reminds me of going back, dipping back into the crates again. Back when Kurt Busiek and George Perez returned to the Avengers after where Heroes Were Born, and they did I think like maybe a 2-issue arc when all of a sudden the Avengers were back in medieval times, and so I'm just pointing out those 2 examples. There are certainly thousands of other examples. So we've seen this type of thing before. The 1602 is kind of like a little bit like this, Neil Gaiman type of work. Yeah. So I like dumb stories like this. This is dumb fun. I have to admit, when I saw like everybody was all getting it along together, and I felt like Noel, as far as the telepaths, it's like that sounds a little like a little icky. Them kind of pushing them, but hey, they're pushing them to good stuff. So do you allow for it? I don't know. And and they pushing Dr. Doom too. What's Reed think about this? No, now we know. And there's another, you don't portray him as a telepath, but now you understand what you see what the Purple Man is doing. So I'm like, it's interesting.
Yeah, so that's wild.
Right. So it's dumb fun, and I found myself overall just kind of like enjoying it.
I do have to say, like, when you say dumb fun, I immediately thought of creating giant webs everywhere as a security system. I'm like, fuck, of course they would. That's fucking awesome. And the head of security, when he's like, oh, Wolverine will catch it, and it's Laura Wolverine.
Right.
Perfect. Yeah. Absolutely perfect.
I guess also we do get one issue that we all had, I think, with the end of the last one was, so why are half of these people why is Reed Richards and Tony Stark decided to join this team with Apocalypse or whatever? Oh, we got a perfectly good answer in this issue. It was well done. I agree with JD about it, that I think it's really interesting to have this post-apocalyptic story, and then it's not complete horribleness all the time after the apocalypse. Like they build this decent society. This reminds me a lot of the 2 or 3 pages that you see at the end of these kinds of stories a lot, where there's some kind of like a what if issue very frequently, or some kind of apocalypse where the last couple of pages is like, and we rebuilt and the sun shone down on us again, that kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. And I like the reveal with Captain America and Tony Stark. It got me. I definitely
surprised.
did not see it coming. And so that was it was an enjoyable, it was a fun comic, like Len said. And I am curious to see what happens next. And we've got a little people's powers are being used in interesting ways that they don't normally get used in a superhero comic, right? Usually when superhero comics take place, they are mostly to fight each other. And I always find it interesting to say, well, what else could be done if you had these abilities? Like Magneto here is being used against his will to create an anti-electricity bubble. So anyway, it's interesting. It's cool. Yeah.
I liked it. Good shit.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hal says Len didn't answer my question about the Black Tribbles.
That's true. I noticed that too, Len.
Oh, what was? Oh, he didn't. He just said he missed us. He said he missed us.
He said, "What are you up to?"
Oh, we chat.
All right.
No. We chat. We talk. Like all of the triples are very busy. They're all like working on different podcasts. I still do the Michelle Mission. I'm about to launch a whole nother podcast in November. So stuff is like popping off. But we have been talking about maybe getting together and doing something, perhaps if not around the Christmas time, but in New Year's. So stay tuned. We'll let you know what's happening.
Nice.
Do you guys ever talk about any ways to donate to this show, the CultPop podcast? Spoiler alert. When you're just does it ever come up in conversation?
Are you segueing? Yeah.
No, it happened.
No, we don't, because we're unsure of exactly how to do.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know what? I'm going to clear that up for you right now. You could go to patreon.com/JohnnyDestructo. You can help us out by donating there. I'm going to be starting a sticker tier where I'm going to be sending you a new sticker every month that I'm going to design and make, and you will get that. I'm going to be doing that soon. Yeah. And if you don't have any money, listen, most people don't give us any money. You can help us out by sharing the show, discussing the show, liking and commenting and subscribing and hanging out with us. Really, the base level of what I want out of this, right? Everything that we do on a weekly basis is to hang out with people who enjoy talking about comic books, like Thor right there.
And even Len.
Well, no, I said enjoy comic
Well, no,
books.
I mean those people, and also it's nice when Len is here.
Yeah. So it's nice to have a nice balance of like 3 guys who love comics, and then Len's here to be like, yeah, fuck you guys. Talkie. So anyway, that's how you can help the show out. Just hang out with us. Really, I'm here for your acceptance and your love. What tier is the sticker tier? Kevin asks in the comments.
It's the sticker tier.
I haven't made it yet. It's probably going to be like, I don't know, $5 or $6 a month. And then I'll send you a free sticker every month. That's it.
Well, it's not exactly free, but
I didn't say free. Did I say free?
You did.
I will send you a sticker that you paid $5 for every month. You piece of shit. Not you, Kevin. Kevin's not a piece of shit. Kevin's great. Brian is a piece of shit. Also, I just got an email from my text from my wife. I have to take off airplane mode.
She wants the clone's phone number.
Let's try and roll the dice again.
Yeah, the clone. I had them add an extra couple of inches on the clone. She says, I tried to see Kai's reaction to watching the live stream, but he got confused and sad hearing your voice and you not being here. So my almost 8-month-old son, you may remember from previous screaming sessions on the podcast, she tried to have him watch the show, and he was just, "What? I hate this. I don't get it." So that's pretty cute. Just like most people watching the show. So
I was gonna say, I feel like that. I feel like that tracks.
Yeah.
I miss being in the same room with you guys. I don't get it.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I do. Especially now that I feel like the four of us could be in a room together. I don't know how to make that happen physically and still have the show work on YouTube. Well, with multiple, I would have to have like multiple cameras and all sorts of stuff.
I'm sure
I think you do know how.
Yeah,
that's why I do. Multiple cameras and get someone to activate them.
I don't use cameras.
Activate the cameras.
I don't use cameras. I use tablets.
Ah.
Oh.
Interesting.
Len, let's talk. Let's talk after the show.
Yeah.
All right. The Me You Love in the Dark, number 3 from Image Comics, written by Scotty Young with art by Jorge Corona. Ro becomes even more intimate with whoever or whatever is haunting the old house as she finds the spark of inspiration for her most personal paintings yet. So this is issue 3 of a sort of spooky-ish kind of, it's not a horror book yet, right? Like it's got some horrific imagery.
I hope it doesn't become one at all.
But some body horror. Like there's the images are kind of gross, but overall so far it's a love story. Yeah. So basically we've got Ro in issues 1 and 2 has moved into this new house. She's a pretty successful artist, but has hit a roadblock and is not able to create. So she buys this house and she's going to try all sorts of methods to get her juices flowing artistically. And she finds out that the house is haunted by something. She asks if he's a ghost and he's like, well, you could call me a ghost if you want. And then she develops this relationship. So when we read the first issue several weeks ago, I think most of us were like, kind of hope that the ghost is cool. Because it's rare that you see that, right? Every time you've got this big spooky house, the ghosts always are assholes. And this one's just kind of like, sup, how you doing? Doing some paintings, huh? So he sort of befriends her. Now, in issue 2, I did think that her acceptance of this being existing and chatting with her, very quick. She got into it real quick. And I think between issues 2 and 3, there was definitely a jump in time because it seems like the two of them have really grown acclimated. They've had a bunch of movie nights. They've watched Time and Again. About Time, which is a great movie everyone should watch. They've watched About Time many, many times. And so they've really have grown. And now they're actually getting intimate and they're having sex. And now
they only have sex at the end. Like,
yes,
it was they make out a lot. No, she makes a very specific point at the end. That like last reveal, like he's like, "Are you sure?"
Oh yeah.
I
just assume they did it a lot after that.
That happens in another. It's not this issue.
No.
Yeah. In his fanfic, they did it 9 times.
Yes, 9 exactly, because that number is interesting.
The spread you just left. Go back.
I'm going back. There it is.
This I had to look at like 4 or 5 times to kind of really understand what's going on. Like they start dancing and then they kiss. They share a kiss.
Yeah.
I didn't see that kiss at all until JG.
It's down at the bottom there. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a great image. This is a great spread, by the way.
It is. It's beautiful, but it's not. It wasn't clear.
You know what? I know this is going to sound weird. That's what I like about this spread is that you have to sit there and take the time and look at each of the different divided up panels and kind of go with them on this journey. It doesn't always work. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't hate it, but at this point in the story, I was just like, oh, they're fucking cool. But then at the end, you realize that they never did it until now, and so I don't think this is a chill ghost.
Okay, there's problems.
This will go horrifically bad.
That to me is disinteresting.
It already is kind of like red
The
flag.
most interesting part about it was their friends.
No,
you know what I mean?
I think, and also too, she this scene here, she posts, or she foreshadows families and having a family, and then shortly after they bone. I think he's like some sort of interdimensional Cthulhu style thing, and he's just going to impregnate her, and it's not going to end well for anybody.
Brian and I were discussing this because I read it in the shop with him here just a couple of hours ago. And you might be right, Noel. 100%. Absolutely. This is a potential. We decided, or you know what? Let me speak for me. In our conversation, I felt like I would be more interested if this entity was actually still chill. But then that creates that makes us go, well, where's the conflict? And I'm wondering if the conflict might come from some other being in maybe some demon that he's keeping at bay, or something we're introduced to later that he has to protect her from. It's probably that he's bad, right? It's probably that the entity is bad, because look at him.
Right.
But also, wouldn't it be more interesting if this guy who looked like this wasn't bad?
It would be more interesting, but it's not how he looks that makes me think that. It's what he says and how he says it.
Oh, do you have? I don't think I picked up on it. What do you got?
It's a lot of like weird things. How he answers questions indirectly. How she's like, "Why do you want to watch this movie again?" He mentioned something about like the character's confident, or
it's like something about the academic nature of it, or something like that.
Yeah, the academic nature of it, like learning how to woo. It's just it all rings not gaslighty, because it's not that it's not that mean-spirited. It's just like he wants to interrupt her work constantly, and like it's just reading real red flag to me. I don't know why, and I don't like. He's in the first two issues, his presence was a mystery or a light kind of presence, and then in this one he feels like a detached boyfriend that it's very awkward, but I'm feel a real way about it, and not in a we just don't understand him. It's more like he's not telling anything. He's not telling you anything.
I took those things as like he believed that he was answering in a straightforward way about why he likes About Time, but because he is a potentially cross-time trans-dimensional entity, we don't see things the same way as he does. That's the
way I took it, especially when he asks questions like, she's kneading dough for cookies and she's upset, she's crying, and he goes, "Why are you upset? Does making cookies make everyone upset?" Like, I don't. There's a disconnect there, and I wonder if maybe that's part of it.
I see this as going two different ways. One, he is just a sheep in wolf's clothing, and she's gonna break his heart. Maybe he'll react adversely to that, maybe he won't, but like the preview for the next issue of like that guy showing up, it's probably gonna be some sort of impetus.
He doesn't look super happy about the other guy being there. It's true.
Or she is just the host that he is enjoying. Like, I don't. It like this scene too of like, I could bring anything to you from anywhere. It just seeds the idea of you're never leaving.
Right.
Ever.
It's true.
Yeah. Why would you leave? I can bring you anything.
Yeah. And she'll need to go back. To do her whole reason for being there is to do art, to go do a show. So she will want to leave at some point. Is hilarious. Mars Comics.
Maybe he wants.
Maybe he has a wife. Says Mars Comics.
Also thought that this would be wonderful if it really was just a straightforward romance. I do not think that that's what's going to happen. They're seeding too many like potential conflicts for tragedy, and now I'm starting to think like, hey, we started watching a quirky romantic comedy. Now it's actually. It's the first two acts of a thriller.
Well, you know what? I mean, I didn't read this issue, but from like just looking through it and then listening to you guys talk about it, the vibe that I'm getting off of it is like, yeah, I think that Noel probably is right that this eventually, as quirky as it is, will go someplace that these stories typically go, where there is something a little off about this dude, but it certainly could also be read, and I think to JD's point, much more interestingly, if he is actually a benevolent spirit who is what you're reading as red flags, Noel, is a guy who is dealing with a little bit of apprehension and fear in the realization that he can't be any more as far as materially than what he is. And now he is faced with the prospect of this person who he is developing some feelings for, leaving him, or also being, perhaps, more interested in, a someone else who's going to be coming into his area in a form that she's more comfortable engaging with, so there's probably a hint of jealousy on his part in there, and in there is the conflict that you find in many romantic tales. It would be different in this because of the supernatural nature of the story, and of the characters, but it would still be the typical romantic conflict. So it's kind of cool.
Regardless of whichever of us has the beat on the story, it's fascinating to read.
Yes, it is.
I love the conversation we're having. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, the main reason why I didn't read this because after reading the first ones, me, I like this comic, and I'm just waiting for the trade.
I think we're going to end up talking about all the issues.
I think that would be fun to do.
To put a bow on it, though, I think the reason I have the outlook I have on this story is because taking a step back and thinking about the elevator pitch, the meeting that happened about this comic book, right, is, all right, what if we have a ghost that is hideous and has a bunch of red flags and he's a fucking spooky ass motherfucker, and then he tricks her anyway, and then surprise, he was bad. Doesn't sound like a very interesting pitch. You know what I mean? Like, all right, so he looks evil, and then
doesn't sound original, right?
He's definitely evil.
Yeah, it would be very disappointing. If
you could say the same thing about the other way around, though. The idea of we're going to ingratiate you to this being and make you forget that he's horrific, and then show you that no matter what, it was a toxic. Like it. I mean, I think it can go both ways. I'm just to see how it goes.
I think that's a little bit different to me, at least from what I'm hearing, because I think what JD is saying is it's a more interesting pitch in that if you do have this, what might be considered typically a horrific, being, and all of this supernaturalness, but it is in fact actually a romantic tale. It is a romantic book, because usually when you do have a supernatural romantic, it is still between two humanoid,
two hot-looking
individuals.
Guys, I would love it. I would love if it was, but I truly doubt it.
What if she's the asshole? What if it turns out she's the piece of shit?
Yeah.
I still think it's gonna end up being him, maybe lashing out in some way.
What if the me you love in the dark is the entity, and that's really the person that we should be feeling for?
Yeah,
right.
She's a dick.
She could very easily become the antagonist. I get that, and I just don't think that this is a.
You just don't think that's it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, we shall see.
Yeah. Even the way that it's
I do love that we're having the conversation about it, though. I think it means it's an interesting book.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
That Len likes.
And
there we go.
To be fair, I don't think this would read as well in trade. I think having these breaths in between the issues, wondering what's going to happen, is actually what matters. Whereas if we did this during book club or something, People are going to marathon through it. It's not that much dialogue. Yeah, I saw it coming a mile away.
I actually wonder about the transition between issues 2 and 3, especially in a trade. I happened to read them. I wasn't caught up, so I read 2 and 3 right in a row. And I felt like there was a big and unsubstantiated jump between, like JD mentioned earlier, it just felt odd. Like we left it here in 2, and in 3 it picks up like this, and it was jarring to me. Not that you can't jump ahead in time. I just felt like it was delivered in an unusual way.
It personally didn't feel jarring to me because I read these when they came out.
Oh, right.
I did not read both. Very often, it's just like a comic book medium thing. Very often, the time spent between 2 issues is like kind of real time, couple of weeks. So
I guess that's what didn't feel that way to me. Like it often does. You're right. It does feel like a little while.
Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't do that. Like it's more modern comics that do the deconstructed time frame where like 17 issues is an afternoon where the cliffhanger is immediately resolved. It's like classically too, it's been kind of like the cliffhanger isn't immediately resolved right away, or it's not resolved at all in the next issue. It's just mentioned and then they're on to the next conflict. Like it didn't read that bad in issues, is what I'm trying to say. And then like the time jumps in this, like they're celebrating Halloween and then all of a sudden they're celebrating Christmas time.
True. So, that was a very fun part of the issue when they celebrate Halloween and the kids don't go up to the house and she's like, why don't they go to our house? Like, well, children avoid haunted houses. He's like, yeah, but our house isn't. He's like, you mean haunted? Says the ghost. Yeah. That was cool.
I thought that was cute too. She's like,
yeah.
She's so into him that she forgets that he's even a haunt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Do we want to talk about the Wonder Woman book?
Yeah, I mean, real quick, we can. I mean, that's the last book, right?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Wonder Woman 80th anniversary, 100-page spectacular #1 from DC Comics, written by everyone, art by everyone else. Put on your tiaras and prepare your indestructible bracelets. DC is inviting you to join us for a one-of-a-kind.
Well, Wonder Woman was not the star of the other ones.
Oh, I see. One-of-a-kind special showcasing Wonder Woman's past, present, and future to celebrate the legacy she has created and those she will continue to inspire with her adventures for years to come. This oversized super spectacular features work from some of the very best in the comics industry, along with bright young stars ready to share the spotlight with Diana. You won't want to miss these new stories that capture timeless messages of hope and empowerment presented together in this gorgeous keepsake issue. I read one of the stories, and it was the Tom King Doc Shaner one, and that's all I had time for.
That was my favorite.
I flipped to the one I was the most interested in, read that, and then came and did the show. Noel, tell us why that was your favorite.
I appreciate, actually, the two that I liked the most. I appreciated the fact that they were constructed to be very, very much of the time in which they were homaging. So the Mark Waid and
Jose Luis Garcia Lopez.
I always just want to say Garcia Lopez because I always mess up the first half. It's just, that was very much of early 70s or early, like late 70s, early 80s, like the style in which it was written, laid out, and then the art. And it
which story is this, Noel? That she's giving advice?
Yeah, Dear Diana.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It even is clunky in the way that 80s comics were clunky. And I appreciated that. This first bit was it's the most boring I've ever read of Jim Chung's art.
What is up with the colors on Jim Chung's art?
I don't know.
Look at this.
Either way. So the Mark Waid Garcia Lopez one was great because it almost read like the back of like each page was the back of a cereal box that you read as you went when you bought Wonder Woman cereal. So it was of a time and it was perfect. And then the Tom King one was of depowered swinging 60s Diana who worked in fashion and became a super spy eventually. and it was written as though that is current, and it was just so fucking delightful. But then the art is like some of the coolest shit I saw all week.
Yeah.
Doc Shaner just killed the 10 pages. I stared at the dance club scene for like 20 minutes straight. Just using the negative space for her dress was so beautiful. And I was like, this, I could just frame this page, and it doesn't need context. I love every second of it. Like, so like these two, that's that one. These two stories just anchor each other, and the rest of the book is just wildly forgettable. And I kind of zoned out for most of it. Like, but this was, I loved every line of this.
Yeah, I too like both those stories. I think I probably, and as much as I liked the story Dated, is the Tom King and Doc Shaner story, and I enjoyed it. I like the cute nature of it, because even though it reads that it's in the 60s, they actually say it's, I think she references that it's actually like she gives a date. I think she said like 1969 and whatever, which is, when she was going through this in real time in her comics. I think it's cool that it's Lois who kind of like hooks them up, like, I think y'all should like go out on a date, and it was kind of cool for them to realize that, they did know who each other were and why they do get along, but why they shouldn't. Like, it was still a romantic day, but it was still very much platonic.
You're a cop.
Yeah, you're a cop, and I loved it, and it was so real. You know what I mean? It was so dope. I liked the story before, Mark Waid, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez's Dear Diana. I liked that as well, because I could stare at Garcia Lopez's art all day, and Mark Waid, I think, has a nice ear for the Justice League, especially that iteration of the Justice League of the 70s and 80s. So that was kind of cool. I don't know if I necessarily like the ending of it, but I like the idea of it. I enjoyed it. You're right. The rest of the book is kind of forgettable, and that's a shame, especially when it's set up, at least on the cover that we have, or on the digital copy, which is Yannick Paquette's, who I do love his Wonder Woman. I still my Wonder Woman is still Adam Hughes, but Yannick Paquette is quickly rising up in becoming my Wonder Woman.
Not George Perez Wonder Woman? What?
Only because I do like the slightly more, not chiseled, but more substantial build that I feel that Hughes and Paquette give her, and I think they give her a little bit more ethnicity than Perez. Perez definitely is still drawing a white woman, and they give her a little bit more of her the Grecian to her look. So that's why
they draw her taller too.
And yes, and I love her taller. And I like there's even a comment on there, and I think it's actually in the Garcia Lopez story about her height. So the rest of it is forgettable. There's some kind of like funnish kind of bits, like some
cutesy stuff,
some cutesy stuff like that stuff she's writing right there.
Double-page spread.
Yeah, it's Rosmo, right?
Yeah, and it's cool.
No.
It's not.
Who is this?
No, this is the Rocket Girl artist, Amy Reeder.
Yeah, Amy Reeder.
That's right.
It's cool, but the story itself is like, it's like, it's whatever. I could do without it. But I'm hurt that this is forgettable, because Wonder Woman is a character that deserves it, and she deserves this. It's 80 years of Wonder Woman, so she deserves it, right? The reason why I think it's forgettable, unfortunately, is twofold. One is because I don't think the stories are all that great. I think the one, to be honest, I think the one with Cheetah is not bad, but I think the art lets it down. And yes, that's a cool picture by your boy, JD.
Lauren Johnson.
Nice. But I think what ultimately lets this down is that this celebration comes after 9,000 other 80-year big celebrations, you know, of to me, I'm sorry, less substantial characters. Batman, I'll give you. Superman, I'll give you. I'll even maybe give you Aquaman if he, you know, falls in the tree that his happened before
one too, right?
before Wonder Woman. So if
Wonder Woman did have one too. Remember, this is actually Wonder Woman's second.
Well, okay. Well, and then look,
she had a 750.
Yeah, it wasn't an 80. It wasn't our 80th anniversary.
Well, no, I know, but it was when because the first two were Action Comics and
Sensational
Detective. Yeah, and then there was Flash and Green Lantern and Wonder Woman, but I think Wonder Woman was the first of them, and that might be part of the forgettableness of it too. Is that they've just recently done. You know what? Why would that matter? But they're comics professionals. They can't come up with cool stories once every several years.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm sorry. Look, y'all should be used to me by now. I'm tired. Look, Green Arrow had a fucking anniversary. He didn't deserve a fucking anniversary. Catwoman and Joker did not deserve fucking anniversaries. And I like both those characters. They did not deserve fucking anniversary books.
You know who does though?
Who is it?
Lois Lane.
Lois
Lane. And Lois Lane only deserves it if you're going to give one to Catwoman and Joker. I'm not saying that she you know necessarily has to have it, but I mean if you're going to give Catwoman one, then Lois Lane deserves one. Yeah. And so
this logo is cool that JD's got on the screen right now.
Yeah, the logo's throughout the book. I mean, it's cool stuff.
I am whether it's just my readership habits or not, I can't think, and maybe it's just me as a reader. I don't like. I enjoy. Whoa!
What was that? What was that? Don't do that again, JD. I know you did that. Don't do that. It's the cursor. What? Oh, you put the cursor right where her eye was. So it looked like her eye opened up, and I was like, "Oh, don't do that, man! Don't do that, dog! Don't do that! Oh, man! Don't do that, man! You are tripping me out, man! You are tripping me out."
She watches you wherever you go.
That tripped me the fuck out, dog. I was like, "Oh no!"
Here, Lynn is bad-mouthing the content of the book, and Wonder Woman herself opens her eyes.
Yeah, it's like a painting of painting of Jesus Christ. It just follows you everywhere.
It is. Oh man, you are. Yo, I can't look at the screen no more, man. Fuck y'all.
That's so spooky.
Anyway,
so I actually read the two that. Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. No, were you?
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I don't follow characters like say JD does, where Spider-Man's on and I'm gonna read it. So I don't necessarily enjoy the deluge of anniversary 90-page giants because law of averages, you get 2 or 3 out of 10 good accessible stories,
right?
And I just it's like I'm very fatigued by it. Now, with that being said, if I was the biggest Wonder Woman stan or the biggest Green Lantern stan or whatever, then oh my god, these are the best thing in the world. But they're just not that strong for me. So I kind of like have given up on. It's sad, but I've kind of given up on enjoy and knowing that I'll enjoy these. Like it's just more like all right, I'll read through a couple of them, see what.
I think I actually have the opposite opinion. Whereas I kind of like the. Oh, here's a 100-page celebration of this particular character from a bunch of different eras and perspectives and that kind of thing. And it will even get me to pick up, like, I don't really buy Aquaman or Green Arrow comics, but I picked up the anniversary special, just to kind of a summation of 80 years kind of thing. In fact, not that it's of time, but the multiversal Diana depictions that JD has on the screen right now, I think is very cool. And I'm very surprised that we have not seen this in any of the other 80th or other special books. It's got, all of these various Elseworlds multiversal Wonder Woman, and I think that it's a really cool idea. That tarot card one you showed earlier was pretty good.
It's a very specific problem to me, but I read a lot every week, and these are like these anniversary issues have become a barrier as opposed to an entry point.
Yeah.
Like they're starting to feel like chores, and I'm just not.
Well, we do also read them for the podcast. That might have something to do.
No, honestly, if this would be one of the very last things that I read, just in my stack, as my normal day to day, and I do pre-read a bunch of stuff that I may not be interested, just to kind of see if we want to talk about it on the show. And these anniversary issues are like, bleh. Same with the giant one shots, like the summertime. John,
I like those too.
That happened today.
I like those.
Are you afraid of Darkseid? Sorry. But
as somebody whose last name is reversal of the E and the I, I've always
yeah. I just I think I'm done with DC anniversary issues.
I mean, well, how many other characters came out in?
I know, right? No, they'll find a reason. They'll find a reason in a way. Like, I mean, we celebrated.
Where's the Metamorpho 80th anniversary special?
Detective Comics 1000 and 1027 because they were different anniversaries.
That is true. So I read the two that you guys talked about. So I hadn't read it, and we kind of a late addition to the podcast to peek behind the sausage, as JD so fabulously coined. And
it's a curtain of sausage.
Yes.
A sausage curtain.
Of course. And so I didn't get a chance to read all the other stuff, but I read the Dear Diana, which I thought was a great take on Diana being who is she in the League? What is her role in the superhero community and as a person? And people come to her for advice. And that is a very cool thing for Wonder Woman to be, and not an idea that I've heard that often. I think Wonder Woman often struggles to be not the female Superman in a lot of writers' minds when she's in the League. What is she? Some people say, she's a warrior, and that's her whole deal, is that she has a sword, but she's also all about peace. And, so sometimes writers find it hard to give her footing. And I think this hits it spot on. And even she is like getting annoyed. And I like that she wraps the lasso of truth around herself and says, why am I getting annoyed? And it's an interesting answer that she realizes that she likes this role. As well. And also the art is like from some branded merchandise from the 1980s, and I love it. It is awesome. I see him coming out of my cups and my binders and my tent that I slept in the backyard in. And yeah, that tent was awesome. It had all the DC characters. So I really enjoyed that too. And this is like the League, right? You've got classic Barry and Hal and Superman and Wonder Woman. So I always love to revisit that. And then the Tom King one, it was cool. The art is amazing. Definitely. I think the Superman is a cop thing is not how I see Superman, and it's kind of tired and drab, and I wasn't feeling it. The last page left me a little mystified. I thought it was a sort of inscrutable ending to the story.
I was confused by the last page of that storyline.
Yeah, like what happened exactly?
I think it's just places her in the continuity of that series.
Guess so. Yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
She travels the country, and
right.
I didn't realize that was an element. Although, of course, it would be right. The mod TV show sort of thing. They always traveled around and got into different adventures.
They placed the end of this into like the continuity of that series.
This is another one where it's like, wait, so Diana, why wouldn't it work? It wouldn't work because you're a separate publishing lines and you don't want to date. That's, I guess, or maybe you're just not into Superman. That's fine.
I've always liked Clark and Diana as a couple.
It's an interesting choice.
I never did. I don't like. No. Well, no. He belongs with Lois.
I just finished the new 52 Justice League.
Oh yeah.
I like reading it as a whole. I like what they did with them as a couple, and I also like that they broke up.
Yeah.
Oh, I think
it was a really, really good story to tell and cap off because they're not supposed to be together, especially like that version of Diana.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I enjoyed them as a couple, but I also enjoyed that they're not a couple.
And I also, because this is where it happens, is alternate reality stuff. You know, Kingdom Come or Dark Knight Returns, where they, or Strikes Again, I guess, where they are a couple, and it's an interesting thing that isn't.
Yeah, we don't talk about Dark Knight Strikes.
I like Strikes Again. I know I'm in the vast minority there, but I liked it.
Can somebody turn off his mic? Thank you.
I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember. Like, I've wanted to reread it because I don't remember.
Yeah, there's some interesting parts.
There's not.
Let's put a pin in this. Let's put a pin in this just topic in general, because
JD's about to go get the book.
I know he's gonna go get the book, but it's not explicitly about Dark Knight Strikes Again. JD and I had a conversation recently, especially about all this Spider-Man stuff, about how we at least try to be considerate readers and will maybe go back and read something that we had an explicit reaction to beforehand, because like the context of who you are and what else you're reading and how it came out, now it could just like derail how you enjoyed a story, but like revisiting it like 10 years later is a different experience. But there are a lot of people who would never even fucking do that. Like, it's just like, well, it's fucking trash. It's, like, I mean, is it though? Why do you think it's trash? I mean, that's stupid.
Dark Knight Strikes Again is trash.
It's just a maybe eventual topic of, not about Dark Knight Strikes Again. I don't necessarily want to read it, but about.
What are you showing us?
I don't know. She's got no eyebrows.
Oh yes, that is on.
Yeah, that's Dark Knight Strikes Again.
Yeah,
that's the book you like.
See the other superheroes in the future. There were elements of it that I liked, but I also feel a little differently about Dark Knight Returns than most people, which I liked, but maybe not as much. That's weird too.
Yeah.
Wait, are you showing me panels from Bob's Burgers? What's happening right now?
This is Frank Miller, Dark Knight Strikes Again, the book that Brian Lieb likes.
I thought it was cool. And I'm not as big a Frank Miller fan as a lot of people.
The other side of his mouth in there. What's happening right now?
Now, all that being said, the mod story in Wonder Woman, this was definitely what Tom King was going for. All of the slang was a lot of slang. There was a lot of it. And some of it seemed a little, he's going to kick them all over. We're going to freak out on the city, I think JD mentioned.
Wait, hold on. Where is it?
We're still having fun with showing shitty panels from
shitty panels from Brian's favorite comic book,
Dark Knight. Of all time, as I have said before,
Brian,
and we'll say
Dark
again.
Knight Strikes Again, Lieb.
Yeah,
has a specific opinion about them.
There are a couple of things that stand out to me, and none of them are these panels about that. But like Hal Jordan in Dark Knight Strikes Again, is a couple of panels that have always returned to me, where he's like incredibly powerful.
It does return. It does in a
positive way.
The book does come back.
Why is he wearing Element Lad's costume?
Why did he have on Cosmic Boy's costume earlier?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like what he did with Dick Grayson, actually, or make it that part I didn't care for. Which is
this is how I felt reading this book.
All
right, fine, you got me. Take that absolute and put it in my box. No, I don't want it.
The thing that one of the things that it made me like it is,
I'm mad. I got it in absolute.
Why did you do that? You must have already known how you felt about it.
No, because I didn't. I honestly didn't know that it came together. I thought it was the first one, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Hold on. I just want to take you on a trip. I want to take you on a journey. Give me just a second.
All right.
Here we go. I'm going to make sure it gets nice and big. There's a sequence here where Wonder Woman and Superman, you know how I said I like Wonder Woman and Superman together? I take it back. So here's Wonder Woman and Superman. Page 1.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
Oh, no.
I didn't do that.
I messed it up. There's another one. Oh, they're kissing. And there's snow.
Yeah.
And then they're kissing.
Yeah.
Full page spread. kissing.
Mhm.
Full-page spread.
You don't know what's happening under that cape.
Yes,
I
we
don't know
do.
what's happening. I don't know what's happening on top of the cape. How is
Alright.
this what is happening in this anyway? And
His head
and
is
it
next to
full-
her head.
Wait, where
full-page
did
spread.
hold on? Where did his head go? Like, so that's her shoulder
Yeah.
over his back, and
Yeah. Right.
where
I don't know.
his
who cares?
neck has to get has to elongate to show up behind her head.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
it's a full-page spread.
A heretofore
Another
unknown
full-page
power.
spread.
That's
These
a cool
are all
full-page
full-page
spread.
spreads of them having sex and murdering people by causing tsunamis and volcanic eruptions.
Oh my
And
god!
they're
Wait,
still-
no,
they're-
the dude's
still at it.
reaction.
Do you see the dude? Yeah, that's when you gotta look at the dude. The little Muppet dude.
The entire
You know what that
they're
looks like?
evacuating the entire
That-
big island. That's very irresponsible, Clark.
That looks like
And
Bendis's caricature of himself.
Diana.
I don't know if you guys ever read
Yes.
Total Sellout, Hollywood Sellout.
Anyway, sorry.
It's
All right, now
Tell-
all that being said, if I
Yes.
may, since we spent a little while talking about all the bad things, I thought their daughter was cool, but also there's one scene that always strikes that I always remember, where Hal
Strikes
shows
again?
up. He's super powerful. He's like progressed well beyond a normal Green Lantern, and he's like, "Hey, you know, Bruce, we were always criminals. Like we just did what we wanted." And they talk about how in the rest of the galaxy, the Earth is a jewel not to be touched because only a only a dangerous planet would point its guns at itself. And I was like, that's cool. Like he's got these guns in orbit, right? And Hal is like, you know, it would be a kick to stick around for a while, but I got to get back home. And something about that, maybe like you said, Noel, at that point in my life, really struck me as like, he has moved into a different phase of his life, and now he's, you know, the Earth is important to him. So though that is one thing that has always stuck with me about The Dark Knight Strikes Again. And maybe I don't want to read it again. You know, maybe I'll just stick
Hold
with
on.
that. You know,
Hold on to that one scene in your soul. And
oh, it's
don't
not the only
worry
one,
about the rest.
but it's one of the only ones. Also, they explain why Superman was so mistreated in Dark Knight Returns. That's weird.
I don't have many memories of this book.
No, I guess I don't remember any of that stuff. Actually, the different.
Apparently, because you like it.
I do have the still unfinished reading Dark Knight 3: The Master Race because
I didn't even start that.
That one's better. That one's better.
That is
Yeah,
better.
I was
It's
kind
not
of
great.
real tired of Frank Miller by that point. So
It's
Well,
not
Azzarello,
great.
right?
Yeah.
It's not great. Well, it's Azzarello, you know, with Miller. It's not great, but it's better
Yeah.
than it's better than Strikes Again. It's 10,000 times better than Strikes Again.
I will eventually read this.
Why? I like how they do the spines of it though.
Well,
That's pretty
yeah.
cool.
So like these were all single issues. I remember pulling it with JD. Like, you can get
Well, it's the single
the normal
issues,
issues.
and I got
Well,
just the
no,
one
each-
shots too, right?
No, it just has the 8 issue. Wait, is the one shot in here? Either way, each issue was a hardcover version, and
Right.
the last one came with the slipcase. So this
Now,
was
what I
like
do
2
like
years
about
in the
this,
making.
the one thing I really do like about Dark Knight Strikes Again is the cover treatment by
Oh, is that Chip Kids did those?
That version, yeah.
He's so
yeah.
good.
that printing.
I
yeah.
met him once at a New York Comic Con.
Same.
Oh, he's a great dude.
He's a great graphic designer. He's a writer, a novelist.
Have you ever read
Very
The
cool.
Cheese Monkeys, a novel in 2 semesters?
Yes.
Fantastic book. Really cool. Very cool. Interesting graphic design on it, and a really well-written novel.
And better than Dark Knight Strikes Again.
Well, yeah. Yeah, it is.
But you know what? I'd be curious to see, like, in the multiverse, I would like a version of this that wasn't meth fueled.
You mean the real multiverse where all things that can be do exist?
Yeah.
Well, it exists,
I
JD.
would travel to a different multiversal Earth
Yeah.
and see when if Frank actually tried.
That would be awesome.
'Cause
For
there's some
so
neat
many
ideas.
different shows and movies and
This-
books and whatever.
I'm upset now. This set doesn't include the one shot,
What the hell?
the Dark Knight Joker one shot.
No, why would it?
Oh, I mean, I would just as a completist, I would think it would.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. And also to the Golden Child one shot too. Just
Yeah,
didn't
say.
include.
The
Yeah.
Last Crusade is its own hardcover.
Yeah,
And then
it's
the
not
Golden
included in
Child.
this. Neither of them are included
Yeah.
in this.
Interesting.
That's a bummer.
I mean, those came out like 3 or 4 years after this series was done, so
Oh, maybe that was already out.
not
You feel
super
like that.
shocking.
Yeah.
Kevin said, I'm with Brian.
there you
I
go.
loved Dark Knight Strikes Again when I was 14.
Yeah, so
That's great.
you know what we like when we were 14? Image Comics, Youngblood.
No, I didn't.
Reread it
True.
now.
Well, no.
No, I never cared much for that.
So many pouches.
I'll tell you
So
what I
much
did like.
fun.
I'll tell you what I did like. What was that magazine?
Mad.
It was
Wizard.
sex-
Cracked.
sexier.
Maxim.
Maxim?
Maxim. I used to
Well-
read Maxim magazine.
The very beginning of Maxim magazine was
You
not
super
what it has
bro.
become now. In the very beginning
Still
of it,
around?
No.
oh, I don't know, whatever. But it's not what it later became. The very beginning, like the first 2 years or so, were a much more interesting magazine than it evolved into. Yeah.
Yeah, so was Hustler.
Hal
Well,
says
that's
I
still
couldn't get
interesting,
past
Len.
the second issue of Strikes Again. Hal said I couldn't get past the second issue of Strikes Again. I felt sorry for Miller. I felt sorry for myself. That was literally when that came out. I was so excited when the first issue dropped. I was counting down to it. I couldn't wait. I read it there in the comic shop. I didn't leave. I bought it. I found a little nook and I read it. And I couldn't remember a time that I was so disappointed by something in pop culture. I was just.
That's a really good topic. I have
Yeah.
to think about that.
I bet you can.
Let's
I've
talk
been
about that
so
next
aggr-
week because I got to go do my FOCs. I got to finish my orders before midnight. So,
Fuck. FOC.
Fucking order
okay.
cutoffs, I think is what it is, right?
It's films of color.
JD's got to do them.
Yeah. Listen, if white savior Jadles doesn't do it, who will?
That's a good point.
Right?
Yeah.
Who's going to help the POC out there with movies if it's not me?
All those
thank
FOCs.
you so much for hanging out with us. Mars says, great show, guys. Thanks. Thank you, Mars Comics, for hanging out and everybody else who comes and chats with us. Kevin agrees.
Kevin agrees. Fantastic. All right,
Yeah.
what a sign off.
All right, guys. We love you. We will talk at you next week, next Monday night at 9 p.m. Come hang out with us. Grab a beer or your drink of choice, some snacks, and we'll chat about comics. Love you, and we will talk at you later.
See ya.
But better.
Bye.